It's over. The single document that just rocked the entertainment world. On September 30th, 2025. After 19 years. Nicole Kidman filed for divorce from Keith Urban. The golden couple is gone. The shockwave is global. The world is demanding answers. Was it an affair? Was it the clashing careers? Was it a secret fight? But all those questions miss the point. The real story is darker. It's not about what happened in the end. It's about what Keith had been feeling for years. A devastating truth he kept locked inside. A truth that makes him the one who truly walked away. And now, with the divorce papers filed, he is finally admitting the real agonizing truth about what living with Nicole Kidman had become. Chapter 1. The Fortress of Lies. For nearly 2 decades, they weren't just a couple. They were an idea. A country music titan and a silver screen legend. Their love story was a modern fairy tale. We all know the legend. They meet in 2005. He's intimidated. He waits 4 months to call. She doesn't give up. He shows up on her New York stoop at 5 a.m., just for her birthday, with an armful of gardenias. She knew. He knew. They wed in a candlelit Sydney ceremony in 2006. And then came the moment that defined them. The moment that built their myth. The intervention. Just 4 months into the marriage, Nicole staged a desperate intervention. She saved his life. That was the story. She pulled him from the brink, and in return, he gave her his undying devotion. It was the ultimate romance. A story of salvation. We believed it. We needed to believe it. But what if one person's salvation becomes the other's prison? What if the gratitude slowly, year after year, turns into a cage? They built a perfect life. 2 beautiful daughters. A sprawling Nashville estate. An unbreakable bond. They were the standard. The proof that love could conquer fame. Or so we thought. But while the world saw an impenetrable fortress of love, the walls inside were already crumbling. And Keith was secretly planning his escape. Chapter 2. The Confession in the Music. The confession didn't come in a press release. It came through a speaker. This is where the story truly begins. In 2024, Keith released his album, High. 1 song. Straight Line now feels less like a hit, and more like a chilling prophecy. In February 2024, Keith explained the song. Listen to his words. He described it as being about wanting to break out of a soul-sucking routine, maybe in a relationship, a job, whatever it is. A soul-sucking routine. Think about those words. Not a rough patch. Not we're busy. He chose soul-sucking. At the time, we thought it was just art. We were wrong. It was a diary. A cry for help hidden in plain sight. But that was just the first crack. The clues got louder. During the filming of his CBS project The Road, sources say Keith painted a bleak, desperate picture. He spoke of the brutal reality. Waking up on a tour bus at 3:30 in the morning. Sick as a dog, in the middle of nowhere. Missing his family. Then came the admission that hangs over this entire story. He allegedly described being completely lonely, and miserable, and sick. And asking himself one gut-wrenching question: why am I doing this? Here was a man who had everything. Global superstardom. An iconic, beautiful wife. A perfect family. And he was completely lonely and miserable. The message is now impossible to miss. The loneliness wasn't just from the road. It was the crushing loneliness of being in a marriage, but feeling utterly, painfully alone. He wasn't just trapped on a tour bus. He felt trapped in his life. The very life Nicole had saved. His music was his only escape. But soon, that quiet confession was about to become a public explosion. And one person was about to be caught directly in the blast. Chapter 3. The Blindsided Wife. When the papers were filed, one person was completely, totally blindsided. Nicole Kidman. This is the most tragic part of the story. While Keith was writing songs about being trapped in a soul-sucking routine, Nicole was reportedly fighting to save the marriage. She thought it was a rough patch. She was holding out hope. She had no idea he was already gone. This wasn't a sudden implosion. The couple had been living apart since the summer of 2025. This was a quiet, calculated demolition. A detailed parenting plan, already signed. They were living in two different realities. A wife desperately trying to hold on. A husband who had already let go. Sources claim Urban was the one who initiated the final split, shattering her world by telling her just how unhappy he was. It's a pain point so many people feel, but never talk about. How can you be standing in the same room, but living in two different marriages? Nicole was trying to repair the house. Keith had already burned it to the ground, in his own mind. The divorce was a formality, a strategy, but the real breakup, the real brutal admission, was about to play out for the entire world to see. On stage. Chapter 4, The Final Erasure. If his album was the quiet confession, his next move was the public execution. The song, The Fighter. It was their song. A powerful duet. A song about Nicole. A song inspired by her. It was their anthem of salvation. And he changed the words. On stage. In front of thousands. In a viral clip, fans were stunned. The iconic lyric, "When they're trying to get to you, baby, I'll be the fighter." Instead, he allegedly shouted out his young, female utility player. "When they're trying to get to you, Maggie, I'll be your guitar player." Her caption on the clip? Did he just say that? The internet exploded. Was it a mistake? A joke? Or was it a public execution of their love story? A final humiliating twist of the knife? But here is the real twist. Sources claim this wasn't about an affair. He's not dating one person. The truth is, it was worse. It was about indifference. He had emotionally checked out so completely that their most sacred song meant nothing to him anymore. It was just another lyric, to be changed on a whim. And then, he erased her completely. His very first show after the divorce news broke. The Fighter. Gone. Vanished from the set list. Do you know what he played instead? His biggest, most famous breakup anthem, "You'll Think of Me." Fans in the crowd swore he added a new venomous fire to the lyrics. Instead of "Take your space and take your reasons." Some claimed he snarled, "Take your bull's tea reasons." This was not a man grieving a loss. This was a man, liberated. The truth was finally out. He wasn't trapped anymore. But as he celebrated his freedom, the wreckage of their 19-year life was still settling. And the fallout would be permanent. Chapter 5, The Conscious Uncoupling. So what happens now? When the dust settles on a 19-year demolition, you get two completely separate lives. In public, it's a masterclass in conscious uncoupling. The permanent parenting plan is meticulous. Nicole is the primary parent. Keith gets 59 days. They will make all major decisions together, and it includes a powerful non-disparagement clause. They are legally bound to pretend, to encourage each child to love the other parent. It is the final, perfect performance, for the sake of their children. But behind the legal documents, the reality is stark. Nicole, described by sources as hurt and betrayed, putting on an impossibly brave face at Paris Fashion Week. A queen, alone on her throne. And Keith? He's back on the road. The exact same life he supposedly called lonely and miserable. And that's when you realize the devastating truth. The soul-sucking routine wasn't the tour. It was the marriage. The lonely and miserable feeling wasn't from the stage. It was from the pressure of the fairy tale. He is, by all accounts, moving on. Open to dating. He's free. The golden couple is gone. And we are left with the most uncomfortable truth of all. A truth Keith Urban finally admitted, without ever really saying it. Chapter 6, The Mirror in the Wreckage. The shattering of this perfect marriage hit so hard, because it exposes a terrifying evergreen fear. The fear that the perfect life you've built could be a prison for the person you love. The fear that your partner could be smiling right next to you, while secretly feeling completely lonely and miserable. Was Keith's confession a tragic but necessary escape? Or was it a selfish betrayal of the woman who saved his life? This story is a mirror, and it forces us to ask a burning question. How well do we really know the people we love? Let me know your honest take in the comments below. And if you want to understand the real emotional stories behind the celebrity headlines, make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell. You won't want to miss what we uncover next. Chapter 7. The Fairytale Is Dead. In the end, the truth Keith Urban admitted wasn't a single shocking confession. It was a slow, agonizing reveal, written in his lyrics, shouted from his stage, and finalized in a cold, sterile courthouse. The truth is, he had already left. Long before the divorce. Long before Nicole even knew. His truth about Nicole wasn't that she was a bad person. It was that for him, the life they built together had become a cage. The fairy tale had become a soul-sucking routine. And the man she saved felt he had to save himself from her. The divorce filing wasn't what ended the marriage. It was merely the public announcement that it was already over, leaving the rest of us to wonder if any fairy tale is ever truly real.